My daughter looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Mom, your wrinkled hands will make my wedding pictures look terrible." She wanted her future mother-in-law to walk her down the aisle instead of me. I smiled and said okay. But during my speech at the reception, I told everyone her biggest secret. She was stealing money from her workplace, and the groom knew nothing about it. He left her right there, with everyone watching. Sometimes the truth hurts more than anything else. Before we start, please subscribe to Granny's Voice and tell me in the comments what country you're watching from today. March 10th, 2025. I was standing in front of my bedroom mirror trying on the dress I bought for my daughter's wedding. The woman looking back at me was 58 years old with silver hair pulled into a neat bun and hands that showed every year of hard work. My fingers were bent a little from arthritis. 20 years of working as a cleaning lady at different offices had left their mark. Sarah Martinez, retired cleaner, widow, mother of the bride. The dress looked nice on me. Simple and elegant. Perfect for walking my baby girl down the aisle. What a terrible surprise I got next. My daughter Emma called me and asked if we could meet for lunch at some fancy restaurant downtown. The kind of place where a small sandwich costs more than my weekly groceries. When I got there, Emma was already sitting at a table looking at her phone. She didn't even look up when I arrived. "Hi, Mom, you look okay. How was shopping for your outfit?"
It was good, sweetie.
"I found a lovely dress." "That's nice." She put her phone down, and I noticed she was drinking fancy juice that probably cost $20. Emma always spent a lot when I was paying. We talked about regular stuff while we ate. She showed me pictures of flowers and told me about problems with the person making the cake. She complained about the place where they would have the party. Then, halfway through her meal, she put down her fork and looked at me with strange eyes. "Mom, there's something Jake and I need to talk to you about." The way she said it made my stomach feel funny, like when you know something bad is coming. "What is it, honey?" "Well, we've been thinking about who should walk me down the aisle. And we decided we want to do something different. Something more modern." "Okay," I said, waiting. "Jake's mom, Linda, has been so wonderful to me. She's been like a second mother already. And we thought it would be really special if she walked me down the aisle instead of you." The restaurant didn't stop. The people kept eating. But my heart felt like it stopped beating. "Instead of you." Those 3 words just hung in the air. "It's nothing personal, Mom. But let's be honest here. Your hands, they're so wrinkled and bent from all that cleaning work. They'll look awful in my wedding photos. I'm paying Michelle Rodriguez $5,000 to take pictures at my wedding. I can't have ugly hands ruining every single photo." My hands moved without thinking. I looked down at them. These hands had washed a million floors. These hands had held Emma when she was a baby. These hands had worked 3 jobs to pay for her college. And now they were too ugly for her wedding. "But Mom, you understand, right? This is my special day. My perfect day. I need everything to look beautiful. The photos will be everywhere. On Facebook, Instagram, hanging in our house forever. I just can't risk having wrinkled hands in them. For 20 years, I cleaned offices. I scrubbed toilets and mopped floors so Emma could have a better life than me. I worked until my hands hurt so badly I couldn't sleep at night. I gave her everything. And here she was telling me my hands were too ugly for her wedding pictures. The pain in my chest was so strong, I could hardly breathe. "Linda is really excited about it," Emma continued. "She's already told all her friends at the country club. And honestly, Mom, she's been more of a mother to me these last few months than." She stopped talking, but I knew how that sentence ended. "Then you have," I said quietly. "That's not what I meant." But her eyes told me she meant exactly that. "You'll still come to the wedding, obviously. We'll give you a good seat. Maybe row 4 or 5. You'll be able to see everything perfectly. Row 4 or 5. Not even close to the front. If that's what makes you happy," I heard myself saying. "I knew you'd understand, Mom. This is why I love you. You always want what's best for me." She looked at her phone again. "I have to go now. Meeting with the wedding planner in 20 minutes. I'll send you my payment app info for half of this lunch bill." She kissed my cheek quickly and walked away fast. I sat alone looking at the check. $73. I left $85 even though that was a lot of money for me. Money had always been hard for me to have. My face looked back at me from the shiny wall. My hands rested on the table, wrinkled, bent, scarred from years of hard work. For 20 years, these hands had been my tools for survival. Now, through my daughter's eyes, all I could see was something ugly, something that ruined pictures. I touched my fingers gently, and under the sadness, I felt something else growing. Something cold and sharp. The same feeling I used to get when I found out someone at work was lying about me. Emma had made a big mistake today. She thought I would just accept this quietly, that I would sit in row 5 while someone else's mother walked my daughter down the aisle. She forgot that I was tough, that I had spent years learning to be patient and careful, that I knew how to stay calm when things got bad. I paid the bill and walked out into the sunshine. September 20th, Emma's wedding day, was exactly 6 months away. Time to start planning the most important thing I'd ever done. The next few days felt strange and blurry. I did my normal things, watered my small garden, watched my favorite TV shows, cleaned my tiny apartment. But I kept avoiding mirrors. Every time I saw my reflection, I heard Emma's voice. "Your ugly hands. You'll ruin my wedding photos." The words played in my head over and over like a bad song. But here's something about working hard jobs for many years. You learn to separate your feelings from facts. You learn to step back and look at the real picture. And when I made myself do that, when I really looked at my life with Emma, I started seeing things I had been too close to notice before. 2 months ago, January 20th, Emma called me crying real tears. The kind that made her voice shake in a way that always broke my heart. "Mom, emergency. My apartment caught fire in the kitchen. The landlord says I need $8,000 to fix everything right away, or I'll get kicked out." I sent her the money the very next day. That's what mothers do, right? They protect. They help. But when I visited her apartment the next week, everything looked exactly the same. Same curtains, same furniture, no fire damage anywhere. "Where did the money go, sweetheart?" I asked, trying to sound nice about it. "Why do you always question me, Mom? Why can't you just trust me? I'm 32 years old, not a little kid. You're so controlling." And I apologized. I actually said sorry for asking about $8,000 that disappeared into thin air. Then there was Mother's Day, May 12th. We always spent it together since Emma was little. It was our special tradition. Breakfast at our favorite diner, then doing whatever I wanted to do. Just time together being a family.
My daughter looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Mom, your wrinkled hands will make my wedding pictures look terrible." She wanted her future mother-in-law to walk her down the aisle instead of me. I smiled and said okay. But during my speech at the reception, I told everyone her biggest secret. She was stealing money from her workplace, and the groom knew nothing about it. He left her right there with everyone watching. Sometimes the truth hurts more than anything else. Before we start, please subscribe to Granny's Voice and tell me in the comments what country you're watching from today. March 10th, 2025. I was standing in front of my bedroom mirror trying on the dress I bought for my daughter's wedding. The woman looking back at me was 58 years old with silver hair pulled into a neat bun and hands that showed every year of hard work. My fingers were bent a little from arthritis. 20 years of working as a cleaning lady at different offices had left their mark. Sarah Martinez, retired cleaner, widow, mother of the bride. The dress looked nice on me. Simple and elegant. Perfect for walking my baby girl down the aisle. What a terrible surprise I got next. My daughter Emma called me and asked if we could meet for lunch at some fancy restaurant downtown. The kind of place where a small sandwich costs more than my weekly groceries. When I got there, Emma was already sitting at a table looking at her phone. She didn't even look up when I arrived. "Hi Mom, you look okay. How was shopping for your outfit?" "It was good, sweetie. I found a lovely dress." "That's nice." She put her phone down and I noticed she was drinking fancy juice that probably cost $20. Emma always spent a lot when I was paying. We talked about regular stuff while we ate. She showed me pictures of flowers and told me about problems with the person making the cake. She complained about the place where they would have the party. Then halfway through her meal, she put down her fork and looked at me with strange eyes. "Mom, there's something Jake and I need to talk to you about." The way she said it made my stomach feel funny. Like when you know something bad is coming. "What is it, honey?" "Well, we've been thinking about who should walk me down the aisle. And we decided we want to do something different. Something more modern." "'Kay," I said, waiting. "Jake's mom, Linda, has been so wonderful to me. She's been like a second mother already. And we thought it would be really special if she walked me down the aisle instead of you." The restaurant didn't stop. The people kept eating. But my heart felt like it stopped beating. "Instead of you." Those 3 words just hung in the air. "It's nothing personal, Mom. But let's be honest here. Your hands, they're so wrinkled and bent from all that cleaning work. They'll look awful in my wedding photos. I'm paying Michelle Rodriguez $5,000 to take pictures at my wedding. I can't have ugly hands ruining every single photo." My hands moved without thinking. I looked down at them. These hands had washed a million floors. These hands had held Emma when she was a baby. These hands had worked 3 jobs to pay for her college. And now they were too ugly for her wedding. "But Mom, you understand, right? This is my special day. My perfect day. I need everything to look beautiful. The photos will be everywhere. On Facebook, Instagram, hanging in our house forever. I just can't risk having wrinkled hands in them. For 20 years I cleaned offices. I scrubbed toilets and mopped floors so Emma could have a better life than me. I worked until my hands hurt so badly I couldn't sleep at night. I gave her everything. And here she was telling me my hands were too ugly for her wedding pictures. The pain in my chest was so strong I could hardly breathe. "Linda is really excited about it," Emma continued. "She's already told all her friends at the country club. And honestly, Mom, she's been more of a mother to me these last few months than." She stopped talking, but I knew how that sentence ended. "Then you have," I said quietly. "That's not what I meant." But her eyes told me she meant exactly that. "You'll still come to the wedding, obviously. We'll give you a good seat. Maybe row 4 or 5. You'll be able to see everything perfectly. Row 4 or 5. Not even close to the front. If that's what makes you happy," I heard myself saying. "I knew you'd understand, Mom. This is why I love you. You always want what's best for me." She looked at her phone again. "Have to go now. Meeting with the wedding planner in 20 minutes. I'll send you my payment app info for half of this lunch bill." She kissed my cheek quickly and walked away fast. I sat alone looking at the check. $73. I left $85 even though that was a lot of money for me. Money had always been hard for me to have. My face looked back at me from the shiny wall. My hands rested on the table. Wrinkled, bent, scarred from years of hard work. For 20 years, these hands had been my tools for survival. Now, through my daughter's eyes, all I could see was something ugly. Something that ruined pictures. I touched my fingers gently, and under the sadness I felt something else growing. Something cold and sharp. The same feeling I used to get when I found out someone at work was lying about me. Emma had made a big mistake today. She thought I would just accept this quietly. That I would sit in row 5 while someone else's mother walked my daughter down the aisle. She forgot that I was tough. That I had spent years learning to be patient and careful. That I knew how to stay calm when things got bad. I paid the bill and walked out into the sunshine. September 20th, Emma's wedding day, was exactly 6 months away. Time to start planning the most important thing I'd ever done. The next few days felt strange and blurry. I did my normal things. Watered my small garden, watched my favorite TV shows, cleaned my tiny apartment. But I kept avoiding mirrors. Every time I saw my reflection, I heard Emma's voice. "Your ugly hands. You'll ruin my wedding photos." The words played in my head over and over like a bad song. But here's something about working hard jobs for many years. You learn to separate your feelings from facts. You learn to step back and look at the real picture. And when I made myself do that, when I really looked at my life with Emma, I started seeing things I had been too close to notice before. 2 months ago, January 20th, Emma called me crying real tears. The kind that made her voice shake in a way that always broke my heart. "Mom, emergency. My apartment caught fire in the kitchen. The landlord says I need $8,000 to fix everything right away or I'll get kicked out. I sent her the money the very next day. That's what mothers do, right? They protect. They help. But when I visited her apartment the next week, everything looked exactly the same. Same curtains, same furniture, no fire damage anywhere. Where did the money go, sweetheart? I asked, trying to sound nice about it. Why do you always question me, Mom? Why can't you just trust me? I'm 32 years old, not a little kid. You're so controlling. And I apologized. I actually said sorry for asking about $8,000 that disappeared into thin air. Then there was Mother's Day, May 12th. We always spent it together since Emma was little. It was our special tradition. Breakfast at our favorite diner, then doing whatever I wanted to do. Just time together being a family. This year, I made a reservation at a nice restaurant by the water. I got there 20 minutes early, ordered tea, and waited. At noon, my phone buzzed with a message. So sorry, Mom. Totally forgot I booked a spa day with my girlfriends weeks ago. You understand, right? Need to look perfect for the wedding. Next year for sure. Love you lots. I sat there for 45 minutes before ordering lunch by myself. The waiter kept looking at the empty chair with sad eyes. I gave him a big tip because I felt bad that he had to watch me eat alone. But the memory that kept coming back happened 4 months ago in November. I found old photo books in my closet. Pictures of Emma when she was a baby, family trips, holidays. I thought she might want them for her wedding. When I got to her apartment, the door was open just a crack. I was about to knock when I heard her voice on the phone. No, seriously, it's totally fine. She'll pay for whatever I need. She always does. Then she laughed. Trust me, the guilt is eating her alive. She's still sorry about Dad leaving us when I was little. She thinks it's her fault even though it's not. I could ask for $20,000 right now and she'd send it before dinner. I stood there frozen, holding the photo books tight against my chest. Honestly, having a mom who feels guilty all the time is like having unlimited money. Best thing that ever happened to me financially. I mean, not Dad leaving, obviously, but Mom feeling bad about it. Financial freedom for life. More laughing. Her laughing. My daughter laughing about using me. I left the photo books by her door and walked away crying. I told myself I heard wrong. That she was just joking around with a friend. Using humor to deal with pain. Now, sitting in my small living room on March 15th, 5 days after that terrible lunch, I finally let myself see the truth. This wasn't about one mean comment. This was a pattern. My daughter had been using me for years. Using my guilt like a weapon. I opened my laptop and looked at my bank statements. 4 years of sending Emma money. Rent help $12,000. College loans I paid off $45,000. Study trip to Europe $18,000. Emergency apartment fire $8,000. Car repairs $6,000. Various emergencies, hundreds here and there. Monthly allowance, $2,000 every month for years. Total amount over $350,000. My phone buzzed. Text from Emma. Mom, forgot to mention. Need another $2,000 for special invitations. Cheap ones look bad. Can you send money today? Thanks. I stared at that message. Casual way she asked. The assumption. $2,000 for fancy invitations to a wedding where I'd sit in row 5, while another woman walked my daughter down the aisle because my hands were too ugly. My fingers started typing. Course, honey. Whatever you need for your perfect day. She replied immediately. Best mom ever. Love you. But as I sent the money, something inside me had changed. The hurt was still there, deep and painful. But something else was joining it. Something that felt cold and focused. Like when you finally decide to stand up for yourself after years of being pushed around. I would agree to everything Emma wanted. I would smile and send money and let Linda walk my daughter down the aisle while I sat like a stranger in the back. I wouldn't fight or argue or give her any reason to think something had changed. But I would also start paying very close attention. Real attention. Because before you can solve a problem, you need to understand what the problem really is. You need all the facts, every detail, every piece of information. I sent the $2,000. Then I opened a new document on my computer. At the top I wrote, Wedding Day, September 20th, 2025. Below that, things I've noticed. Time to start taking notes. Because if 20 years of hard work had taught me anything, it was this. The best plans are the ones where you think about everything that might go wrong before you start. And I was about to do the most important thing of my entire life. April 2nd, Easter Sunday. The day felt heavy with meaning. Here I was celebrating resurrection while feeling like my relationship with my daughter was dying. I'd spent all morning cooking Emma's favorite foods. Honey ham, sweet potatoes, green bean casserole, homemade rolls. All the things we'd made together when she was young. Emma promised she'd come over at 2 o'clock. Just us, Mom. Like the old days she'd said on the phone last week. I heard something soft in her voice that gave me hope. By 4:30 the food was cold. The rolls were hard. Everything looked sad and forgotten. 5:12 I heard a car outside. Multiple cars actually. I walked to my front window and my heart sank. Emma's red car, Jake's blue truck, and a fancy white SUV I recognized from the country club. Linda's car. They came through my gate like a parade. Emma in an expensive-looking outfit. Jake in clothes that somehow looked costly even though they were casual. Linda and her husband Robert, both dressed like they were going to a fancy garden party. Mom, sorry we're late. Emma walked past me without even trying to hug me. We stopped at Linda and Robert's house first. You know how it is. Actually, I didn't know because she told me this was supposed to be just the two of us. I hope you don't mind we brought company, she said, though her voice made it clear she didn't care if I minded. She looked at the food on my small table and her nose wrinkled. Mom, why didn't you just order from a restaurant? This all looks so homemade. It is homemade, I said quietly like always. Yes, well, she glanced at Linda who was looking at my tiny apartment like it was a museum of poverty. Jake's family is used to something more fancy. Linda stepped forward and shook my hand. Her grip was firm and cold. Sarah, lovely to see you. Robert and I were just telling Emma about the rehearsal dinner we're planning at the Riverside Manor. 300 guests. Live band. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. That sounds very expensive, I said. Oh, money is no concern when it comes to our son's happiness. She put her arm around Jake's shoulders. And Emma's become like a daughter to us already. Haven't you, sweetheart? Emma's whole face lit up when she looked at Linda. When was the last time she'd looked at me like that? We sat down to eat. I'd reheated everything but it had lost its fresh taste. Nobody seemed to care, probably because nobody except me was really eating. Emma just moved food around her plate. Robert said he was watching his weight. Linda talked and talked. You know, Sarah, I have to tell you how honored I am that Emma and Jake asked me to walk her down the aisle. She said it like she was talking about the weather. Such a big responsibility. Such a privilege. I watched Emma over my glass of water. She was looking at her phone, not at me. When my daughter Jessica got married, that's Jake's sister, I walked her down the aisle and let me tell you, everyone cried. It was so beautiful. I've been working on my speech for weeks now. I want to make sure Emma gets the mother of the bride moment she deserves. Mother of the bride. That was supposed to be me. It's really wonderful what you're doing, Linda, Emma said softly, then looked at me with something like pity. Taking on that role when she paused, when some people can't handle it. The conversation moved to other topics. Business deals, golf games, the wedding location, the honeymoon in Hawaii. Every single topic was chosen to leave me out or show how I wasn't good enough. I sat there like a ghost at my own Easter dinner. Around 6 o'clock they started getting ready to leave. Emma kissed my cheek quickly. Thanks for lunch, Mom. Next time maybe just get takeout. This whole cooking thing is sweet, but it's kind of a lot of work for you, right? I stood at my door watching them leave. Linda had her arm around Emma's shoulders, saying something that made Emma laugh. That should have been my arm. That should have been my moment. I was washing dishes in my kitchen when I heard voices outside. The cars were still there in my driveway. Someone must have forgotten something. I moved closer to the window. Your mom's nice enough, Jake was saying. Quiet but nice. Oh, she's fine. Emma's voice sounded casual and cold. She's just, a retired cleaning lady. Nothing special. Not like your mom. Linda actually built a real career. She's interesting. She has amazing stories. My mom just has wrinkled hands and a tiny apartment. I stood there frozen, holding a wet plate in my ugly hands. Your mom seems like she really loves you, Jake said. Emma laughed. She loves making herself feel better about Dad leaving. Trust me, everything she does is about her guilt, not about actually caring about me. The cars drove away. I stood in my empty apartment surrounded by leftover food from a tradition she'd just ruined. The family where I'd been replaced by a new mother. A better mother. I threw most of the food in the trash and sat down at my computer. On my laptop, I opened the document I'd started. Wedding timeline. Under April 2nd, I typed Easter dinner. Emma arrived 3 hours late with Jake's family. No sorry. Made fun of my cooking. Linda talked about walking her down the aisle for a long time. Planned humiliation. Emma told Jake I'm nothing special. Confirmed. Not just about my hands. She's ashamed of everything I am. I looked at those words for a long time. Then I added, money spent today, $132. Food and supplies. What I got back, the truth. Because that's what this was showing me. Painful, clear truth. Every small hurt revealing the full picture of what my relationship with my daughter had become. May 15th, 4 months before the wedding. I'd been keeping some distance from Emma. Answering her texts with short messages instead of long loving ones. She didn't seem to notice any difference. I had a meeting at Blooming Gardens, the flower shop on Main Street. Emma had sent me a message 3 days earlier. Mom, can you handle the final flower order? I'm crazy busy with dress stuff. Just say yes to whatever Patricia suggests. You're paying anyway, haha. The shop smelled like roses and something sweet I couldn't name. Patricia Chen, the owner, greeted me with a kind smile that reminded me there were still good people in the world. Mrs. Martinez, perfect timing. I have all the updated plans ready. She was a woman around 45 with kind eyes and dirt under her fingernails from working with flowers all day. We looked through the choices. Roses for the tables, lilies for the bouquets, some kind of fancy orchid arrangement for the ceremony area. The prices made my head spin. So the total is $9,000, Patricia said, looking at her tablet. That includes the rush fee for changing the timeline. Course. Stop. Timeline change. Yes. When Emma came in about 5 weeks ago, she was very upset. Almost crying. Begging me to move everything earlier by 6 weeks. Poor girl was so emotional. Said she couldn't wait any longer. Patricia smiled warmly. Young love, you know. So impatient. My brain started working fast. 5 weeks ago was early April. The wedding had been planned for November 5th. 7 months after Emma and Jake started dating in April. Now it was September 20th, 5.5 months from when they started. Did she say why she couldn't wait? Kept my voice calm and steady. Oh, you know how brides are. Everything has to be exactly perfect and exactly when they want it. Patricia laughed. Then leaned closer like she was sharing a secret. Though between you and me, I think I know the real reason. I waited, my heart beating fast. I've seen Emma leaving the Women's Wellness Center across the street 3 times now. The one that takes care of pregnant women. Patricia's eyes sparkled with happiness. I bet she wants the wedding before her belly gets big. How exciting that you're going to be a grandma, though I'm sure you're not supposed to know yet. She probably wants to tell everyone at the party. The flowers in front of me got blurry. Women's Center pregnancy care, timeline moved up earlier. That's wonderful news, I managed to say. I signed the papers, approved the $9,000, and walked outside. The clinic was right there across the street. Simple brick building with a small sign. I'd driven past it 100 times without really seeing it. I sat in my old car and did the math in my head. Emma and Jake started dating in April 5.5 months ago. If Emma was worried about her belly showing, she had to be at least 4 or 5 months pregnant. Which meant, my phone buzzed. Text from Emma. Did you approve the flowers? Patricia says they're gorgeous. You're amazing, Mom. I stared at that message. Then I scrolled back through our old texts looking for something I'd seen before. March 25th. I'd stopped by Emma's apartment to drop off some mail I'd gotten for her. While she was in the bathroom, her phone lit up on the kitchen counter. A message from someone named Marcus. I miss you, baby. Can't stop thinking about us. Please call me. When Emma came out, I mentioned seeing the message. She grabbed her phone fast, her face turning red. Oh, that's just Marcus. Old friend from the gym. He's going through a hard breakup and being weird. I should probably block him. Marcus M. I pulled out my phone and opened Facebook. I searched for gyms in our area and trainers. Took me 30 minutes, but I found him. Marcus Cole, 33 years old, fitness trainer at PowerFit Gym downtown. And there, if you looked back through his old photos, was Emma. Lots of photos. His arm around her, her kissing his cheek. The most recent from December with a caption that said, "My everything." I sat there in the flower shop parking lot, and pieces started falling into place like puzzle pieces. Emma had been dating Marcus. She got pregnant. She broke up with him, probably when she found out about the baby. Started dating Jake, the rich businessman, in April. Rushed the wedding date. Was planning to make Jake think the baby was his. And Jake, sweet kind Jake with his traditional family values and his excitement about being a father someday, had no idea what was happening. My phone rang. Emma's face filled the screen. A picture from 2 years ago when she still smiled at me like I mattered. Hey mom, quick question. Can you cover the calligraphy upgrade? It's only another $1,500. The invitations need to be perfect. Course, I heard myself say. You're the best, mom. Love you. Gotta run. Meeting Jake's parents for dinner. She hung up before I could say anything back. I looked at Marcus's photo on my phone screen. Then at the women's clinic. Then at my reflection in my car mirror. My wrinkled hands on the steering wheel staring back at me. Emma wasn't just ashamed of me. She wasn't just using me for money. She was building her whole life on a lie. Trapping an innocent man into being a father to another man's baby. All while treating me like an embarrassment she had to deal with. I opened my laptop and added to my timeline. May 15th. Discovered Emma is pregnant. About 4 or 5 months along. Been dating Jake only 5.5 months. Real father probably Marcus Cole, fitness trainer, ex-boyfriend. Emma moved wedding date earlier to hide pregnancy timing. Jake doesn't know the truth. Then I opened a new document and wrote at the top, evidence. Because if 20 years of hard work had taught me anything, it was this. You don't fix a problem without understanding it completely. And you don't take action until you're absolutely sure of what you're dealing with. I was sure now. And it was time to start planning what to do. The 3 weeks after discovering the truth at the flower shop were the hardest weeks of my life. I moved through them carefully, like someone handling something very fragile and dangerous at the same time. I didn't hire someone to investigate for me. 20 years of working hard jobs had taught me to trust my own eyes and brain. Besides, this was personal. This was my daughter. May 20th. I needed to know more about Marcus, the ex-boyfriend whose baby Emma was carrying while getting ready to marry Jake. Jennifer Wong was listed on the wedding program. She was going to sing during the ceremony. Emma had mentioned her before. Casual friend from college. Nothing deep. Perfect for my purposes. I found her contact through the wedding planner and sent a message. Hi Jennifer. I'm Sarah, Emma's mom. Would love to buy you coffee and hear about the song you're singing. Want to make sure everything is beautiful for my girl. She said yes right away. We met at a coffee shop near the mall. Jennifer was late 20s, artistic looking with paint on her jeans and a friendly smile. She ordered a fancy coffee and started talking about what songs she might sing. I let her talk and talk, waiting for the right moment. Then I said casually, Emma seems so happy with Jake. Wonderful to see her settled down after. Well, you know how dating can be these days. Jennifer laughed. Oh, absolutely. I'm just glad she finally moved on from Marcus. That whole situation was such a disaster. I kept my face calm and neutral. Marcus, her ex, the personal trainer. Jennifer stirred her coffee. They were together for like 14 months. Super intense relationship. But honestly, he was all muscles and no brains. Just wanted to work out and talk about protein shakes and meal prep. Emma needed someone with real ambition and money. When did they break up? I asked carefully. Oh, let me think. March, maybe late February. Happened really fast. Like one day they're posting couple photos and the next day Emma's deleting everything and saying she's done with gym guys forever. Jennifer leaned closer. Between you and me, I think she realized she wanted someone more stable and successful. Jake's perfect. Good job, mature, from a wealthy family. Much better match for Emma. March, right when Emma started dating Jake. That must have been hard for Marcus, I said gently. Jennifer shrugged. Guess. Emma blocked him pretty quick though. But honestly, Jake's such an upgrade. He's going to make an amazing husband and father someday. Father. That word hung in the air between us. I thanked her, paid for both coffees, and left. In my car I added to my timeline document. May 20th. Confirmed through Jennifer. Emma dated Marcus Cole about 14 months. Broke up suddenly late February or early March. Timeline matches exactly when relationship with Jake began. 12 days later, June 1st, I found Marcus's social media accounts. Marcus Cole, personal trainer, PowerFit Gym downtown. His Instagram was open to everyone. Lots of followers. Mostly workout videos, shirtless photos, motivation quotes about fitness. I scrolled back through months of posts. December through February. Multiple photos of Emma. His arm around her at a nice restaurant. Her kissing his cheek at what looked like New Year's Eve. Both of them laughing after a workout session. The captions were honest and sweet. My motivation: she makes everything better, luckiest guy alive. The last photo of them together was dated February 22nd. Marcus and Emma at the beach. His arm around her waist. His caption: my queen forever, so grateful for this woman. After that, nothing. No more Emma in his photos. Just solo workout content and generic inspiration posts about staying strong. I did the math carefully. February 22nd was almost 6 months ago. If Emma was showing enough now to worry about moving the wedding earlier, she had to be at least 4, maybe 5 months pregnant. Which meant she was already pregnant or got pregnant right around when Marcus posted that beach photo. I sat at my kitchen table staring at my phone screen. The pieces came together with cold clarity. Emma got pregnant by Marcus in late January or early February. Found out about the pregnancy in late February or early March. Immediately broke up with Marcus. Probably never told him about the baby. Started dating Jake, the wealthy businessman, in April. Moved the wedding date earlier so she could get married before her belly got too big. Was planning to make Jake think the baby was his. And Jake, good-hearted Jake who cried during romantic movies and talked about wanting to be a great dad like his father, had absolutely no idea he was being used. My phone buzzed with a text. Mom, caterer needs final payment $6,000. Can you handle it? Super busy with dress fittings. Dress fittings because she was pregnant and trying to hide it. I sent the $6,000. Then I opened a new document. Evidence collection. I took screenshots of Marcus's Instagram. Photos, dates, captions, everything. I made a timeline. December through February, Emma dating Marcus. Documented with photos. Late January or early February, baby conceived. Calculated timeline. February 22nd, last photo together, then breakup. April, Emma starts dating Jake. May, Emma panics and moves wedding earlier by 6 weeks. Current status, Emma about 4 or 5 months pregnant. I checked medical facts online. By month 5, most women show a visible belly. Emma was racing against time before people noticed. The sad truth wasn't lost on me. I'd spent 20 years cleaning and scrubbing to give my daughter a better life. She was doing something similar but cleaning up her mistakes by building a whole new life story. And an innocent man was about to pay the price for her lies. I printed everything. Photos, timeline, pregnancy calculations. Locked them in my desk drawer. Then I sat in the darkness of my apartment and wondered what kind of mother I'd become. June 10th through June 20th were 10 of the hardest days of my life. I walked through my small apartment, the place I'd rented after my husband left us 26 years ago. Every corner held memories. Teaching Emma to read at that table. Helping her with homework on this couch. Her first date getting ready in that bathroom. Her mother's voice laughing in this kitchen. But I wasn't her real mother anymore, was I? Linda was. I sat at my kitchen table at 3 in the morning drinking coffee I didn't need, thinking about choices. Because that's what this came down to. Choice. Not between right and wrong. That was clear enough. But between my daughter and doing what was right. If I stayed quiet, Jake would marry Emma thinking the baby was his. He'd raise another man's child never knowing the truth. Emma would have her perfect life. Her rich husband. Her pretty Instagram family. And I would stay her convenient money source. Watching from row 5 of her carefully built lie. If I spoke up, I'd lose Emma forever. There would be no fixing this. No forgiveness. No coming back. She would hate me until I died. Choice. June 15th, I went to see Margaret Peterson, my lawyer. She was 58, sharp and smart and honest. Sarah, she greeted me with a warm handshake. What can I do for you today? I told her everything. All of it. The wedding, the hands, the pregnancy, the timeline, the evidence I'd collected. Margaret listened quietly without interrupting. Her face stayed neutral like good lawyers do. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. What do you want to do, Sarah? She finally asked. I want to tell Jake the truth. Before he marries her. Before he becomes the legal father of someone else's baby. Margaret nodded slowly. That's your choice to make. But understand the consequences. You'll lose your daughter. There's no coming back from this. I know, I said. My voice was steady even though my heart was breaking. Are you absolutely sure? Margaret asked gently. Once you start down this path. I know exactly what it means, I interrupted. I know I'll lose her. But I can't let her destroy an innocent man's life. Jake deserves to know the truth. Margaret was quiet, then nodded. When do you want to do this? At the wedding reception, I said. During the speeches. I'll have all the evidence with me. I'll tell everyone the truth. Margaret looked at me for a long moment. You're braver than you think, Sarah. I left her office and drove around town for hours. Past the elementary school where Emma learned to read. Past the park where we used to feed ducks on Sundays. Past the grocery store where I used to let her pick one treat every Friday. Past the restaurant where she told me my hands would ruin her wedding photos. June 20th, 3 months before the wedding, I made my final decision. I would tell the truth at the wedding reception. When the moment felt right. Not because I wanted revenge. I kept telling myself that though I wasn't completely sure it was true, but because Jake deserved to know. He deserved the truth before he became the legal father of another man's baby. Emma would never forgive me. Accepted that. But I couldn't let her destroy an innocent man's life just to keep up her perfect appearance. I spent the next weeks gathering my final evidence. I made copies of everything. The Instagram photos. Timeline. The pregnancy calculations showing dates. I put them in a folder with a typed summary. Clean, professional, impossible to argue with. I even practiced what I would say. Standing in my living room imagining 200 people staring at me. Imagining Emma's face, Jake's confusion, the moment when everything would fall apart. Jake, I practiced my voice calm. I'm sorry this has to happen like this. But you deserve to know the truth before you become a husband and a father. Simple, clear, no drama. My phone rang all the time. Emma with more wedding demands. She needed money for better music, for a chocolate fountain, for fancy napkins with their initials embroidered on them. I said yes to everything. Sent the money without questions. Because I knew, and she didn't, that these were the last times she would ever ask me for anything. July 5th, 10 weeks before the wedding, Emma stopped by my apartment to pick up some old boxes she'd left in my storage closet. Mom, you look tired, she said, barely looking at me. You're not going to look all exhausted and sad at my wedding, are you? I need you to look decent for the photos. Well, the back row photos where you can barely see faces anyway. I smiled calmly. Don't worry, sweetheart. I'll make sure your day is exactly what you deserve. She kissed my cheek quickly and left without another word. I stood at my window watching her drive away in the car I'd helped her buy. And I thought about justice, about truth, about the difference between being a good mother and being a doormat for people to walk on. I thought about Jake, who'd done nothing wrong except fall in love with the wrong woman. And I thought about Emma, who'd learned to use my love and guilt like weapons. August 15th, 5 weeks before the wedding, I looked at everything one more time. Printed copies of evidence. The folder ready to go. My speech practiced and memorized. In my small apartment, I looked at it all spread out on my kitchen table. The proof of Emma's lies. The end of my relationship with my daughter. The truth that would destroy her wedding and maybe her whole future. I should have felt doubt or guilt or something. Instead, I felt calm and clear. Like when you finally decide to stand up for yourself after years of being pushed down. When you know what needs to be done, when you have the proof, when you understand exactly what's at stake, you don't hesitate anymore. You just do it. I put everything in my purse, practiced the words one final time, and accepted that in 5 weeks I would lose my daughter forever to save a stranger from a lifetime of lies. Some prices are worth paying even when they cost you everything you have left. August 20th, 1 month before the wedding. My phone started ringing at 7:15 in the morning. Emma, of course. Mom, emergency. The venue says we need another $4,000 for the fancy lighting setup. Can you send it today? I was already awake, sitting at my table with coffee and the folder with all my evidence. Course, honey, I'll take care of it. You're a lifesaver. Oh, and the photographer needs another $1,500 for extra hours. I'll text you details. She hung up before I could say anything. $5,500 before breakfast. I opened my laptop and sent the money, then wrote it down in my expense list. Total wedding costs so far $212,000. The calls kept coming almost every day. August 21st, Mom, the champagne we picked costs more than we thought. Another $2,000. August 22nd, Mom, I need special party favors for guests. Just $3,000. Last thing, I promise. I said yes every single time. Sent every dollar she asked for. Because I knew something Emma didn't know. These were the last money transfers we would ever have. August 25th, late afternoon. Emma came to my apartment without warning. Not to visit me. To get more boxes of her stuff from my closet. She walked in wearing workout clothes and a loose jacket that almost but not quite hid the small bump at her middle. 5 months pregnant by my calculations. The wedding dress must have needed major changes to hide it. Mom, you look really tired, she said, barely glancing at me as she headed for the closet. Are you sleeping okay? You can't look all worn out at my wedding. Well, I mean, you'll be in the back anyway, but still. I followed her, watching as she sorted through boxes. Just haven't been sleeping well lately, I said. Wedding nerves, I guess. She laughed, that bright, dismissive laugh I'd learned to recognize. You're nervous. It's not even your wedding, Mom. No, I said quietly, it's not. She found what she wanted, some old photo albums, and stood up. That's when she actually looked at me. Mom, seriously, you're not going to be all emotional and weird at the wedding, are you? Because I need this day to be absolutely perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. No drama at all. Don't worry, I said, looking right into her eyes. I'll make sure your day is exactly what you deserve. Her face lit up happy. See, this is why you're the best. I know I can always count on you to do what I want. She walked over and kissed my cheek quickly. You're like my personal ATM machine. Always there when I need money. She laughed at her own joke. Then, like she remembered something, best mom. Best mom ever. I stood at my door watching her load boxes into her car. The car I'd co-signed the loan for. The insurance I still paid for. The gas card in my name. Love you, Mom, she called out cheerfully. See you at the wedding. I went inside and took the folder from my desk, spread all the contents on my kitchen table. Photos of Marcus and Emma together. Timeline showing dates. Medical information about pregnancy. Social media screenshots with dates and words. A typed paper explaining how a 5-month relationship couldn't make a 5-month pregnancy. I'd practiced what I would say so many times. Standing in front of my bathroom mirror. Sitting in my car. Walking around my apartment at 4 in the morning. Jake, I'm sorry this has to happen this way. But you deserve to know the truth. Simple, direct, devastating. August 30th through September 19th were the longest 20 days of my entire life. I barely slept at all. Barely ate anything. Just kept playing the moment over and over in my head. Walking to the microphone. Pulling out the folder. Watching Emma's face when she realized what was about to happen. Part of me, a small persistent part, kept whispering that I should stop. That I should stay quiet. That losing my daughter forever wasn't worth it. But then I'd think about Jake. Kind, decent Jake who talked about wanting to be a good father like his dad was. Who got emotional during the wedding practice. Who had no idea he was about to legally become the father of another man's baby. And I'd think about Emma's words. You're like my personal ATM. Not mother. TM machine. September 19th, the night before the wedding, my phone rang at 11:30 at night. Mom, I just wanted to say. Her voice sounded different, softer somehow. Thank you for everything. For paying for the wedding. For not making a big fuss about the aisle thing. For just being there when I need you. For one moment, one brief painful moment, I almost believed she really meant it. I know I haven't been the easiest daughter, she continued. But tomorrow is going to be perfect. Can feel it. Everything's finally coming together exactly how it should be. Yes, I said steadily, tomorrow will definitely be a day to remember. Get some sleep, Mom. Big important day tomorrow. She hung up. I sat in the dark holding my phone and wondering if that was the last time my daughter would ever speak to me with anything like love in her voice. I checked the folder one final time. Everything was there. Everything was ready. Tomorrow I would stand up in front of 200 people and destroy my daughter's perfect day. Her perfect plan, her perfect lie. Tomorrow I would choose a stranger's future over my own daughter's happiness. Tomorrow the truth would cost me everything. I put the folder in my purse and tried to sleep, though I knew I wouldn't. Some things you can prepare for all you want, but when the moment comes your hands still shake. September 20th, 3:15 in the afternoon. The Grand Rose Hotel in downtown was everything Emma had dreamed about. Shiny crystal lights hanging from the ceiling, marble floors so clean you could see your reflection, huge windows showing the whole city, 200 guests in expensive clothes drinking champagne that cost more per bottle than my monthly rent. I stood in the entrance hall in my simple blue dress, the one I'd bought months ago. My hand kept touching my purse, feeling the folder inside. A woman with a clipboard came over to me. Mrs. Martinez, we're seating people now. You're in row 5, middle seat. Row 5. Not row 1 where the mother of the bride should sit. Row 5 behind Jake's cousins and college friends. "'Kay," I said. The ceremony room was beautiful. White roses everywhere. $9,000 worth according to Patricia's bill. Silk ribbons, a string quartet playing soft music, every detail perfect, planned, ready for Instagram photos. I took my seat and watched the room fill up. Rich people in $1,000 suits. Social media people positioning themselves for the best photo angles. Linda's business friends. Jake's whole family looking like they stepped out of a magazine. The whole family sat in row 1, of course. Linda in a beautiful cream-colored dress. Her husband Robert in a perfect tuxedo. They looked proud and happy. Like they were gaining a daughter. Which they were, just not the daughter they thought. 3:30 exactly. The music changed. Everyone stood up. And there was Emma. She looked absolutely beautiful. The $12,000 dress fit perfectly. High-waisted flowing skirt designed to look elegant while hiding her pregnant belly. Her makeup perfect. Her smile bright and happy. Every bit the perfect bride. Linda walked beside her, arm linked through Emma's, smiling like she'd won a prize. As they walked past my row, Emma's eyes didn't even look in my direction once. She was staring only at Jake, who stood at the front, already crying happy tears. My throat felt tight. Not for Emma. For Jake. Poor sweet Jake, who thought this was the happiest day of his life. The ceremony was lovely. The official talked about love and commitment and building a future together. Jake's vows were so heartfelt. He talked about wanting to be the kind of husband his father was. About dreaming of the family they'd create. About promises that would last forever. Emma's vows were shorter, more rehearsed, like she'd practiced them to sound perfect without revealing too much. "I promise to love you always," she said, her voice clear and strong. "To build the life we've always wanted. To give you everything you deserve." The words felt so wrong knowing what I knew. "I now pronounce you husband and wife." The room burst into applause and cheering. Jake pulled Emma into a big enthusiastic kiss. She smiled and waved at everyone like she'd just won an award. The recessional was a blur of activity. Photos, champagne, congratulations from strangers. I stood apart from it all, watching, waiting. The folder in my purse felt like it weighed 100 pounds. During the cocktail hour before dinner, I got cornered by some of Jake's business friends who wanted to talk about the economy and investments. I nodded along, barely hearing any of it. Across the room, I watched Linda give a toast as the mother figure who walked Emma down the aisle. "Today I didn't just give away a bride," Linda said, raising her glass high. "Gained a daughter." And while it's unfortunate that Emma's biological mother, she paused, looking at me with something between pity and disgust, wasn't able to fulfill this traditional role, I'm honored and blessed to have stepped in. To Emma and Jake. Everyone cheered and clapped. I raised my glass with everyone else, my smile empty and fake. 6:45. Dinner started being served. I was seated at a table way in the back. Not at the main table with Emma and Jake. Not even at a family table. I was with some distant relatives of the family who seemed confused about why I wasn't sitting somewhere more important. "Aren't you the bride's mother?" one old man asked me. "Yes," I said simply. He looked uncomfortable and didn't ask anything else. Between dinner courses there were toasts and speeches. The maid of honor told funny stories about Emma in college. Jake's best man made jokes about bachelor parties and getting old. Everyone laughed at the right times, clinked their glasses together, took endless photos. Emma looked so happy, glowing even. She kept touching her stomach in that unconscious way pregnant women do without realizing it. And I wondered if anyone else noticed. If anyone else had done the math. 7:45. The DJ announced that the mother-daughter dance would be replaced with a special tribute dance with Emma and Linda. They danced slowly to a song about mothers and daughters while everyone took photos and said how sweet it was. I watched from my table in the back, my hand in my purse, fingers on the folder. Not yet. Very soon. 8:15, more toasts, more expensive champagne. The energy in the room was building high. That happy tipsy wedding energy where everyone's in love with love and the world feels magical and perfect. I looked at my watch. Any minute now the coordinator would open the floor for more toasts. Anyone who wanted to say words. My heart was pounding so hard in my chest I thought people at my table could hear it. The folder in my purse held the truth. In just a few minutes I would stand up, walk to that microphone, and blow up my daughter's entire life. There would be no going back. No forgiveness. No second chances ever. But Jake deserved the truth. And Emma deserved to face the consequences of what she'd done. I took a deep breath and waited for my moment to come. 30 exactly. The moment came faster than I expected. The DJ's voice cut through all the talking and laughing. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a wonderful surprise. The mother of the bride, Sarah Martinez, would like to say a few words." I watched Emma's face from across the big room. Her smile froze on her face. She turned to Jake, confusion and worry in her eyes. She hadn't put me on the speech list. Jake looked confused too but smiled at her encouragingly. He probably thought it was a nice surprise. I stood up feeling the folder heavy in my purse. The walk to the microphone felt like walking to my own funeral. 200 faces turned toward me. Happy, expectant, a little drunk on expensive champagne and romance. I took the microphone in my wrinkled, ugly hands. My voice was steady and clear. "Good evening, everyone. Thank you for letting me share some words on this very special day." Emma was watching me closely now with that nervous smile frozen on her face. Emma is my only child. My only daughter. 26 years ago when her father left us, Emma became my whole world. I dedicated absolutely everything to making her happy. I paused, letting those words settle over the room. I paid for her education. $45,000. I gave her everything I could afford. Over $300,000 total over the years. I gave her everything I had. Everything I was. People were nodding, thinking this was going to be a touching mother-daughter moment. Even Emma had relaxed a tiny bit, probably thinking I was just being sentimental and emotional. 3 months ago, Emma told me something I will never ever forget. I held up my hand, showing everyone. She said I couldn't walk her down the aisle because my wrinkled, ugly hands would ruin her wedding photos. The room went completely silent. You could have heard a pin drop on that shiny floor. These hands, I continued, my voice even and calm, I got from 20 years of cleaning offices and scrubbing floors. 20 years of working 3 jobs so my daughter could have a better life than I did. Emma had gone pale white. I could see her across the room, frozen in her fancy chair. But you know what? That's not even the worst part. I pulled the folder from my purse because I've learned that sometimes the ugliest things aren't the ones you can see on the outside. Mom, Emma stood up fast, her voice sharp and warning. Stop this right now. I looked directly at Jake, sweet, innocent Jake. I'm so sorry this has to happen like this, son. But you deserve to know the truth before your whole life changes forever. I opened the folder and pulled out the printed photos, the timeline, the medical calculations. I held them up high so the people closest could see them clearly. Emma is pregnant. But here's what she hasn't told you, Jake. The baby is not yours. The room exploded. Gasps, shocked voices, the sound of chairs scraping as people stood up to see better. That's a lie, Emma screamed at me. Mom, stop this right now. But I kept going, my voice cutting through all the chaos and noise. You and Emma have been together for 5.5 months, Jake. But Emma is 5 months pregnant. The father is Marcus Cole, her ex-boyfriend. A personal trainer she dated for over a year before she even met you. Jake stood up slowly, his face blank with shock and confusion. He reached out for the papers in my hand. I gave them to him without hesitation. I have social media posts with dates and timestamps. Photos of Emma and Marcus together 5 months ago. Medical calculations showing when the baby was conceived. Complete timeline of everything. Jake's hands shook as he looked through the pages. Photos of Emma kissing Marcus. Screenshots of Marcus writing my queen and my everything. The timeline showing their relationship went all the way through February. Exactly when Emma got pregnant. His face changed as he read. From confusion to understanding to something that looked like his heart breaking. Jake, baby, please. Emma reached for him desperately, but he stepped back away from her. Is this true? His voice was barely a whisper, but in the dead silence, everyone in that room heard it clearly. Emma's perfect appearance shattered completely. Tears poured down her face, ruining her flawless makeup. I can explain everything. Just listen. Is it true? Jake's voice cracked with emotion and pain. She opened her mouth to say something, but no words came out at all. And in that terrible silence, everyone got their answer. Jake looked at her, really truly looked at her, maybe for the first time ever. Then he pulled off his wedding ring slowly and set it carefully on the table in front of him. We're done, he said quietly but firmly. Emma lunged toward me. Her face twisted with pure rage and hatred. How could you do this to me? You destroyed everything. Everything. I met her eyes calmly, even though my heart was breaking. The whole room was watching this final battle between mother and daughter. No, Emma, I said softly but clearly. You destroyed this yourself. I just stopped you from destroying him too. Linda was on her feet, her face red with anger. This is absolutely outrageous and cruel. You couldn't handle being replaced, so you. So I told the truth, I interrupted her. Something your son deserved to hear before he became the legal father of another man's child. Robert had his hand over his mouth, staring at Emma with complete horror. Other guests were pulling out their phones, recording everything, texting, posting online. Emma's perfect Instagram wedding was becoming a viral scandal in real time right before our eyes. Jennifer, Emma's singer friend, sat frozen with both hands covering her face. She'd known the truth. I could see it in her guilty eyes. She'd known and said nothing to anyone. Emma collapsed into her chair, sobbing uncontrollably. I hate you so much. Hate you. Hate you. I know you do, I said quietly. But someone had to stop you from doing this. Jake walked out of the room, his parents following close behind him. Then other guests started leaving too. Some awkwardly avoiding eye contact, others whispering urgently to each other. Within 30 minutes the reception hall was half empty. I stood there holding my evidence, watching my daughter's perfect day crumble and fall apart around her. Watching everything I'd worked for, everything I'd sacrificed, turn into consequences she finally couldn't talk her way out of. Justice wasn't supposed to feel this empty and hollow. September 21st, the morning after everything. My phone rang at 7:45. I almost didn't answer, but I did. You ruined my entire life. She was screaming and crying, barely able to form words. Everyone knows. It's all over social media everywhere. My friends won't return my calls. Jake's filing for annulment. I'm so alone. I know, I said quietly into the phone. You're supposed to love me, protect me, keep me safe. Instead her voice broke into terrible sobs. I did protect someone, Emma, I said. Just not you this time. I'll never forgive you for this. Never ever. You're dead to me. Completely dead. I know, I said again. And I meant it with my whole heart. I'd known this was the price when I walked to that microphone. She hung up on me. That was the last time my daughter spoke to me with anything resembling real emotion that wasn't pure hatred. September 23rd, Margaret Peterson, my lawyer, called me. Jake's attorney filed annulment papers. State law allows it within 72 hours if the marriage was based on fraud. This definitely qualifies as fraud. Good, I said. He deserves so much better than this. October 2025. My small apartment feels even smaller now. Emptier somehow. I've put away most of Emma's childhood things. Packed them in boxes in my closet where they belong with other memories of a person who doesn't exist anymore. I saw on social media, yes, I looked, that Jake started dating someone new. Teacher. Quiet private relationship. He looked genuinely happy in the few photos I saw. I'm so glad. He deserved real happiness. Emma gave birth to a baby boy in early October. Marcus apparently decided to step up and be a father when he finally learned about the baby. They're living together in a small place across town. No Instagram perfect wedding photos. No wealthy businessman husband. No fancy life. Just reality finally catching up with all her lies. I should feel happy, victorious, like I won something. Instead I just feel empty inside. I made the right choice. I know that deep in my heart. Jake deserved the truth. Emma needed to face real consequences for her actions. Justice happened. But justice cost me my daughter forever. On quiet nights I sit in this apartment alone and wonder if winning was worth losing everything. I look at old photos sometimes. Emma as a tiny baby laughing in my arms. Emma graduating high school so proud and happy. Emma before she learned that her mother's love could be used as a weapon for money. I don't regret what I did at that wedding. But I grieve deeply for what I lost. Sometimes I look at my hands, the wrinkled, ugly hands Emma was ashamed of, and remember how I got them. I got them from working hard trying to give someone I loved a better life. Maybe that's what I was doing at the wedding too. Trying to save someone from a terrible mistake. Just not the person I'd spent 58 years protecting and sacrificing for. The mirror in my hallway shows my reflection. Wrinkled hands and all. I look at it differently now. Not with shame or embarrassment, but with a strange kind of peace and acceptance. These hands are proof I survived something hard. That I kept working when everything was difficult. That I made hard choices when they absolutely needed to be made. My daughter called them ugly and disgusting. But ugly is manipulating your mother's guilt and love while planning to trap an innocent man with another man's baby. Ugly is building your whole life on lies and deception. Ugly is using love as a weapon. Wrinkled hands are just evidence that you worked hard and survived. I don't know if Emma will ever understand that truth. Maybe someday, years from now, when her son asks about his grandmother, she'll tell him the real truth. Or maybe she'll tell him I'm a monster who destroyed her perfect wedding day. Either way, I can live with it and sleep at night. Because when I look in that mirror, I see something Emma never saw in me. A woman who chose what was right over what was easy. Who chose truth over fake peace. Who loved her daughter enough to stop her from destroying someone else's entire life. Even though it cost me absolutely everything. You can't buy respect with money. But you earn it through the choices you make when everything important is on the line. Justice has a price. And I paid it in full with everything I had. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to Granny's Voice, and share your thoughts about this story in the comments below. To listen to another story, click on the video on your screen now.
I hope you enjoyed today's stories too. This story was written by me and narrated using a female AI voiceover. Thank you all for watching.